Today we're publishing an evidence report and recommendations on scale and concentration of land ownership in Scotland. The concentrated pattern of ownership and the effects it has on the public interest have long been a core part of the land reform debate in Scotland. We wanted to understand what are the underlying issues and how can we best address these. Last year we held a public call for evidence and had 400 responses, giving us a perspective on these issues from across individuals, communities, landowners and managers. And out of that comes a common pattern and theme. It identifies the core issue being the concentration of power and decision making and the effect that this has on the wider public interest. The report shows that this concentration of power can and does in some cases have adverse effects affecting provision of housing, local economic opportunities, community dynamics and development. Now, this is not about pointing the finger at good or bad landowners or at any one sector of land ownership in particular. It's about recognising that the concentrated pattern of ownership does have impacts on the public interest and looking at how we can address these and move ultimately to a more dynamic and diverse and productive pattern of land ownership. Our initial recommendations seek to address the adverse impacts that the evidence show does occur and also to move to this more diverse and dynamic pattern of ownership. So we're recommending the introduction of a public interest test at the point of significant land transaction, the obligation for larger landholdings to engage on and publish a management plan demonstrating the public interest, and the review mechanism to address the situations where normal management approaches are simply not effective in addressing the adverse impacts on communities. We'll also go on to report to ministers looking at wider options for stimulating a more diverse and dynamic private sector of ownership and investment, for example looking at the role that land value tax and wider tax policy might play. Now these proposals, putting these forward, we're looking to address the issues of concentrated ownership in ways that are normal in other countries and other sectors. For example, it's common in international practice for countries to have approval mechanisms at the point of land transaction. And equally, we're used to regulating monopoly power and concentration of power in other economic sectors. So the evidence report that we're publishing today is substantial and significant, and I'd really encourage you to have a read of it and talk to us, both about our initial recommendations, but also about the wider implications it raises. Land, after all, is at the heart of Scotland's identity, economy and communities, so you'll all have different perspectives on the issues it raises. But we share a role in shaping effective change that will help deliver a dynamic and diverse pattern of land ownership, unlocking opportunities across Scotland. To take this discussion forward, we'll be holding a series of open public meetings around Scotland, as well as stakeholder events, and I hope to see many of you there.